Hi everyone, in this video I will be looking at another budget 24-inch model, the Dell SE2416 monitor, aimed for office and home users. I always consider the 24-inch size with Full HD resolution as a good balance between size and the price for everyday computing as well as entertainment purposes, especially for users who have limited cash to spend on a monitor. I used it for more than 6 weeks, testing it with web surfing, video editing, games, watching videos, photos, and see now as the right time to share my thoughts about this entry-level 24-inch model from Dell. The screen diagonally measures 23.8 inches with 16:9 aspect ratio. Dell is using an IPS panel on this model with 1920 by 1080 resolution, and so we can enjoy great color consistency and viewing angles at an affordable price. It has a standard 60 Hz refresh rate and the response time is 6 ms gray to gray, which looks quite decent on the spec, as most models in this price bracket will have 8 to 12 ms range. And I will be sharing my gaming experience on this model in a couple of minutes. 1080p on 23.8 inch size results in a moderate PPI of 92.5, that is 92.5 pixels per inch, and this pixel density will leave an average user more satisfied, and text or any content on this screen will be reasonably sharp when viewed at certain distance. Like the other most budget IPS screens, it has a standard 250 candles brightness rating, so you can't enjoy the great contrast ratio or the eye brightness intensity achieved with those VA panel models. It can display 16.7 million colors and covers more than 70% of color gamut, which is quite enough for most users. But professionals who seek more color accuracy should look out for models with higher rating, and users who are used to TN display will greatly appreciate the color quality of this model. This model lacks inbuilt speakers and wall mounting facility, which I'm quite sure that it will disappoint few potential buyers. Inside the box, we get a VGA cable, power cable, and a manual sheet. HDMI cord is optional and it is included in some regions. The monitor draws its power from the wall socket and no power adapter is used in between these. The stand comes in two separate pieces, the base part and the neck portion, and it has to be assembled before use. Installation is tool-free and also simple to fix. Connectivity consists of two video port options, VGA and HDMI ports, which is only sufficient for an average user. And these ports are faced downwards and is little annoying while connecting cables. There is no headphone jack though. Dell provides this huge cutout for routing power and single cables, and you can prevent cable clutter using this feature. The overall build quality is very sturdy despite the complete plastic construction. The screen frame and 80% of the rear portion are glossy finished, and I wish a complete matte surface would have made easy to prevent or hide fingerprints and the dust, and I decided to leave the protective film in its place as it helps to protect the surface in long-term use. The surrounding bezel is 1.2 cm in thickness, and such thick bezels make this model less suitable for multi-monitor setups. The monitor looks bulky at any angle, so those who prefer for a slim profile should make a note of this. Dell has employed a strong matte finish on the screen surface, and it effectively cut the reflections caused from any bright source. But in return, it takes away some of the color vibrancy and text quality, which is not the case with glossy displays. The stand base occupies a larger footprint when rested on the desk, and the advantage, it offers good stability and holds the screen firmly when you move a desk around. But there is some shakiness when operating the menu buttons. The stand height is sufficient for most users. It raises the screen by 9.6 cm from the desk surface. You can only tilt the screen a few degrees up and down, and we can't expect height adjustment facility at this price point. On-screen buttons are located on the front bottom bezel, and there are no text labels associated with it, and sometimes I feel the buttons to be too small to fit my index finger. The white colored power LED button is not distracting, and you can completely turn it off if you want. It took 1 second to boot the display from off state. You can control brightness, contrast, and do some basic color corrections through the menu. Dell includes several predefined picture modes and I found the multimedia preset as a well-balanced option and produced almost perfect color tones. You also have the freedom of adjusting red, blue, green values on your own by navigating to custom preset mode. The display is completely flicker-free at all brightness levels, and you can notice the wavering issue in the reference display that uses PWM technique when brightness is reduced from 100%. Color accuracy is not optimal in standard mode, which is enabled as factory default, and the color temperature is inclined more on the colder side, and whites are associated with a blue tint. So as a result, both color accuracy and saturation are slightly affected due to this. The monitor produced great results when I switched to the multimedia preset. After this, color temperature is almost perfect, and now the monitor produced well-balanced colors and skin tones appear more natural now. I am greatly satisfied with the color representation and actually quite impressed with it when I considered the price that I paid for this model. And please note, you must enable the multimedia preset to truly enjoy this. And these are my calibrated settings if you like to use the custom mode. Backlight bleed is not a major concern in my unit, and I hope to be the same with all units. You can witness a small backlight leakage when screen is filled with dark content and will be more visible in a dark room with brightness increased more than 70%. Brightness luminance is uniform in most parts of the screen. The maximum brightness is sufficient in most situations, and detail levels in dark scenes were adequate, but it certainly will not match a VA panel. You may not see some details in darker areas of photos and videos, and in such cases, increasing the brightness intensity may help you. Before testing this model, I was using a VA monitor. The moment when I switched back to this IPS display, I immediately felt the screen to be very dull and greatly missed the rich black levels of the VA panel. But you have to make some compromises with each panel type, and so also the case with our model. As usual, viewing angles of this display are great, the major strength of IPS screen. There is some saturation brightness loss at extreme angles, but anyway, we rarely use it at such angles. With brightness and contrast set to 0%, the monitor becomes almost black. The text reproduction of this model at default scaling is not too small or overly large, and people who have trouble reading small fonts will find this model quite satisfying for their daily needs. I tested the Dell 2416 with games such as GTA 5, CSGO, Witcher 3 and some fast-paced racing games, and I had an average gaming experience but thoroughly enjoyed the beautiful colors in every game I played. And yes, there was some tearing effect in few scenes. I witnessed it more in Witcher 3 game, and it was more obvious than other budget monitors that I have seen previously. And we must accept the fact that this model is not intended for full-time gaming, and it's fine for casual gamers or even users who prefer good color quality rather than faster response time. I suggest hardcore gamers to stay away from this monitor and save some money and look out for better models. And by the way, the Dell 2416 neither have the G-Sync or FreeSync technologies to save from this tearing issue. You can slightly improve the response time by setting this option to I. Coming to the conclusion, well, the Dell 2416H fits very well to those who are seeking for a multi-purpose monitor from a reputed brand with strong color accuracy and moderate gaming experience without spending too much of money. The Dell 2416 was never intended for hardcore gamers, as the pixel response is not fast enough to satisfy even a gamer with low budget. It also lacks some useful features like inbuilt speakers, wall mounting option, but these things will rarely bother a normal user. Thanks for watching. Leave a thumbs up if you feel this video useful to you, and also you can leave your thoughts and queries in the comment section and I am ready to respond.